against itself cannot stand. From Destiny to Anthem, this collection of shooty MMO lights have tried to make a lasting impression on the gaming scene, and they've succeeded, if the impression they were hoping to make is that they're not worth playing for the first 6 months. Now, The Division 2 is about to throw its hat in the ring with another America gone bad, so let's solve the problem with guns, group loot, and shoot. Ubisoft are confident, but the more flair they put into their marketing, the more skeptical of this genre I become. I still remember that first E3 demo for The Division leaving my jaw on the floor. Those detailed graphics, the ambitious online world, and the blend of class-based teamwork with real-time shooting mechanics showed so much promise. And I wasn't alone in these impressions. The game broke the then record for best-selling new game franchise, raking in an estimated 330 million worldwide within the first week. The game was ultimately pretty good, but it hemorrhaged players over the first 2 months as content quickly dried up and the endgame grind showed little return for time invested. Of course, it's not uncommon for any game to see significant drop-off after launch, but the whole purpose of these types of games is to retain an active player base, to keep the world alive and help endgame content thrive. There was a time when we were told these sorts of games were going to redefine gaming, and then we played Destiny 1 and realised that was probably overselling it just a smidge.
That wizard came from the moon.
And that's not to say these games aren't good or don't have their fans. There's plenty of die-hard Destiny players out there, The Division has its own loyal community, and believe it or not, plenty of people are actually having a good time with Anthem. These gameplay loops are strong, but you can't be blamed for being wary. Who really wants to buy a game and find out it'll only get good 1 year later? And by that time, not enough people are actually playing to get the proper experience. So how does The Division 2 fare? This time, we're leaving the frigid winter streets of New York for the sweaty, swampy summer quagmires of DC. It's pretty much a reskin with the same amount of God Bless America flags, but slightly fewer skyscrapers. The core gameplay of cover-based shooting is still super tight and responsive as you and your team dart at waist height around detailed urban areas, clearing bullet-spongy bad guys. The auto-dash to cover mechanic is just as satisfying and impressive as in the first game. Heading out solo or online with up to 3 other smartwatch-wearing militia,
An agent has left your group.
you'll be spending time locating settlements to open up chunks of the city which send you on shooty errands, many of which ultimately boil down to just racing against your squad mates for kills while seeing who can ignore the most expositional radio chatter.
You're near Espinosa's last known.
Then it's back to base, sort through your many new bits of gear, unlock perks and techie toys, before heading out again to rinse the streets of more scum. Also rats. There's no denying it's a formula that's hard to put down. New waypoints, objectives, strongholds bombard you constantly, and that ever-present itch to get better gear can be alleviated but never cured. It's been such a long time since I played the original that if there have been any changes to the minute-to-minute gameplay loop, I honestly couldn't tell you what they are. This is because The Division 2 is perhaps the most quintessentially Ubisoft game to date. Tom Clancy on the box? Check. Over-designed but oddly satisfying user interface? Check. A huge map full of hours of busy work? You better believe that's a check. They even got to slap a massive number 2 on the front. Ubi love a sequel. And while I didn't get there in the beta, they are boasting a far more feature-rich endgame than the original. Welcome new features to the series of specialised roles that unlock after finishing the campaign, as well as 8-player challenge raids. As good as these sound, they could be entirely undone by an unrewarding loot drop system, or if the excitement of the campaign wanes and it's not even worth reaching that level cap.
I never pictured my first trip to DC would be like this.
The group Loot and Shoot needs a win. A kick-ass title that's going to breathe life and excitement back into the genre. The Division 2 starts strong, to be sure, but there's still a lot riding on hours 10 and up if this is going to be the game to do it. Although luckily, thanks to cashed up pre-ordering diehards who somehow finish these games at physics-defying speeds, we're going to know within a month how well The Division 2 has pulled it off.